All right, let me introduce you to Mo. Now, Mo reached out because she's having some hair concerns. So I'm gonna use the knowledge that I've gained over 30 years as a professional hairstylist to point out 4 very common hair mistakes that I'm seeing, and more importantly, explain how you can fix those mistakes to get a more youthful look. Let's go talk about some hair. Okay, now if you're new to this series, subscribers send me in photos of themselves complaining about specific problems that they're having with their hair. And usually these photos also have attached an email that describes exactly what's going on. So I use that email to help kind of guide my insight. So with that said, let's read Mo's email. Dear Justin, I am Maureen, Mo, right. I'm a 64-year-old retired teacher who lives in Grants Pass. I have been caring for my elderly mother for the past 5 years. Unfortunately, she passed away last July. All of my life, I have been a tomboy. I love to fish, ride my bicycle, and do woodworking, and work on the 65 Mustang in my spare time. Time has slipped away, and I'm not getting any younger. As you can see from the photos, I could use your help and expertise. Hair and makeup has never been a priority for me. Now, I think that it might be time to spend a little on myself. As a female who is active and on the go, I don't need my hair getting in the way, which it does. My hair is thin and colored, dang gray roots, and as you can see, I have a cowlick. It gets tangled a lot, which means a lot of brushing, thus pulling hair out along the way. My hair draws me down and I need to be free of it, freeing my spirit and my face. Also, my forehead is as big as a football field. I get it. I like the sporty look, but also I think that my hair gets in the way, so I just put it back in a ponytail. This is me. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Mo. Okay, now that we've read the email, let's talk about the first mistake. It's simply that her hair's just a little bit too long. Okay, this isn't because I don't like long hair. No, you're always gonna say that. If you look at this photo of the back right here, you can see it pretty well. It starts to get a little bit thin at the ends. Thinness or overall hair just thinning can happen for a multitude of different reasons. For most of those reasons, they all require a different way to approach them to kind of address those concerns. But there are some things that we can do right now just with the cut that will help things overall just seem to look and feel more dense. And one of those things is to take the hair to the length that it feels or looks the thickest. So some of these ends right here just kind of need to come off. Now, before I show you what that would look like, since it kind of does go hand in hand with mistake number 2, let's just real quick talk about mistake number 2. So mistake number 2 is something that's super common, and that's that it's just a little bit too layered. But specifically, it's a little bit too layered at the very bottom. Just right down here at the bottom, you can see in the back. Now, I understand this is kind of hard to tell because she is wearing a hood, and anytime you have like a hoodie on, it's kind of like messing up the hair a little bit on the back. It's kind of pushing it out in some areas, so it splits the hair and it can make it look a little bit thin. But I can tell you from 30 years of doing hair that I can look at these layers at the bottom and say that without a question of a doubt, there's just a little bit too much layering going on, and it's making this area look a little bit too thin, or at least it's making it look thinner. So the way that I would approach addressing this concern is to take that length off to where it looks thicker. Now, it doesn't mean that she shouldn't have layers, okay? And we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but it's just a little too layered right now. So what would it look like if we actually took that length up to where it looks a little bit thicker, and at the same time, took some of those layers off the bottom to start with a new clean slate? This is what it would look like. Now, when you look at this, I get it. Now, first of all, let me just kind of preface this. I am not a Photoshop master, okay, and I'm Photoshopping these, so you got to work with me a little bit. But what I want to kind of point out with this isn't that it's fixed everything. It's that the line at the bottom looks a lot denser. So even though this would look a little bit different on her, just down without a hood on or anything like that, it still kind of gives you the idea, or at least should at least point out the idea that it looks a lot stronger at the bottom. It doesn't look like it's as thin. And many times, just making that feel denser or appear denser at the bottom can make the overall shape feel and look a lot more dense and make the client feel like they have a lot more hair. Okay, now before we dive into mistakes 3 and 4, a perfect time to say that I've got some really exciting news for you. If you're not familiar with this particular series, I've done a ton of these. And if you are familiar with it, then you know the number one question that I get asked is, what happened? What did they decide? Where's the follow-up on the model? Well, check this out. If you want to see exactly what Mo decides to do, make sure you watch the next video that I upload on this channel, because that's going to be the actual, in real life, full makeover where I work on Mo. So we get to see the whole consultation, and we get to see ultimately what she decides to do and if it works or not. This is very important. You're gonna need to do something. You're gonna need to go down below and you're gonna need to hit the little bell. It's the notification bell. If you don't do that, YouTube will not notify you when I upload that video, and you might never even realize that I uploaded it. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss it, that's the way to do it. And let's be honest, while you're down there, why don't you hit that subscribe button? All joking aside, it actually does really help. Totally free. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Makes the algorithm happy and allows me to make more content for you. So do that, but let's get on to mistakes 3 and 4. Okay, so mistake number 3 is that the top layers are just too long. Now, the concern with this is that if you remember in her email, she did mention that it was just kind of feeling weighed down, but also that she said, I need to be free of my hair, right? It just feels heavy to her. And I feel like she could do really well if we just lightened those layers up a bit on top and overall just lightened up the shape, made it feel like it wasn't so heavy. And that's exactly what layers on top being a little bit shorter would allow for. So if we were to leave a stronger baseline, meaning that there's going to be less layering at the bottom, but added shorter top layers or internal layers to help create a little bit more volume, this is kind of what that would look like. I say kind of because realistically, there's no good way of really getting the idea through Photoshop in this scenario of what it would actually do. But what you can see in this before and after is the difference it makes in where the volume sits, right? Allowing those layers on top to be a little bit shorter would take some of the volume out of the sides, which would help with the concern that she mentioned where she feels like it's drawing her down, right? It's drawing the eye down, which is really a product of there being too much volume at the bottom and not enough volume on top. So this would help with that, but also it would just give her a much lighter shape. With that all said, it kind of takes us into the other concern, which a little bit piggybacks this, which is mistake number 4. There's not enough layering in the front. It's too long and kind of almost one length in the very front. Now, there's a couple things that she mentioned, and one of them in the email was that she felt like she has a 10 head, or that that's what I have.
At least that's what I call it.
But she's got a little bit more real estate on her forehead than she wants. So in those scenarios, we definitely want to draw attention away from that. And that's what lightening those layers up in the front would allow for. It would allow a little bit more softness, maybe even into somewhat of a bang feel. But even if we didn't do a bang, it would still allow us for a little bit of kind of break on the forehead. But really, the most important thing that layering the front would do is, again, it would lighten up that shape. It would remove some of the volume from the side so it didn't feel like it was dragging down so much. And it would allow for it to open up her face a little bit more so it didn't feel so closing on her. Now, I know some people are going to be like, but wait a minute, she also mentioned that she always pulls her hair back. And that is true. But realistically, adding some layering in the front is not going to be the thing that gets in your way of being able to pull your hair back. There are so many different options for being able to get your hair back off your face. And for Mo, it doesn't sound like that's the biggest concern. To me, it sounds more like she would rather have a style that makes sense and looks good and that she feels good in, that also, for the most part, gets pulled back into a ponytail and can get back up off her face, which this would still fully allow for. So this is what that would look like. And again, it doesn't really do us justice. So ignore kind of this photoshopping look, but here's a better idea of kind of what I'm talking about. Now, this is another client that I recently just did a makeover on, and we just added some layers. Now, her hair is a little bit longer than I would probably say that we would do with Mo's hair in this shape, but it gives you an idea of the overall movement and shape and layering around the front that I personally would head for. Okay, so as always, I always love to give a kind of curveball, something that's different than what we've already talked about. Here's the biggest part of this that's kind of hard. So if you've been around the channel or you've ever watched me do a makeover, you know that I ask a lot of questions in the consultation. In a scenario like this, I don't have a lot of insight to go on, so I'm a little bit guessing. But there were a couple things in Mo's email that made me kind of gear towards this direction. One of those things was that she just feels like her hair is heavy, but also she said that she needs to be freed of her hair. Now that, to me, kind of had the idea that she wants something different. The length is kind of overwhelming like we talked about, and she just feels the need to head in a different direction. And I didn't actually think that she's not willing to spend some time styling her hair, because she also mentioned in her email that she hasn't spent any time on her hair in the past, but now she thinks that it is time for her to do that. So One idea that I thought would give her the ability to pull her hair back, be an actual quote-unquote style that wouldn't be so dramatically short that she would feel wildly uncomfortable with because it's such a huge difference from where she was, that would also look phenomenal and give her a lot of different options and be easy to style, would be this. Okay, but I want to know what you think. I think a bob shape would look phenomenal on her. I think it would be a good option for her. And no, I don't just only do bobs, and I don't only like bob haircuts. It just so happens to be that it is a shape and a length range that would be very different from what Mo is used to, but at the same time, not such a huge difference that she'd feel uncomfortable, and kind of meets what I think might be a lot of the concerns that she's having. So what are your thoughts? And more importantly, check this out. Like I said before, if you want to see what we actually did with her hair, what we do with her hair, you're going to want to watch the next video I upload. So don't miss that one. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and make sure that you hit that subscribe while you're down there. And let me know. Throw a comment down there and tell me what you think. Do you think she should stick where she's at right now? Take my suggestions, take some of the length off and layer it a little bit more, do something crazy like a bob? Or do you think she should do something completely different and wild? Well, you know where the comment section is. I know some of you have used it before. Some of you have not been so nice in those comments. Either way, get down there and comment. So let me know. And once you've done that, if you like this video, you're going to love this video. So why don't you go check that out? I'll see you over there. Some people have been very nice in the comments. Some people not so nice. Just saying. It's just the way. Oh, eagle.